Hey guys, Technomentary with a video for you guys. In today's video, we'll talk about the iPad Mini 4 or the fourth generation of the Mini series here. Now, if you're looking at this device, Apple does sell the 6th edition, which recently came out here. So this is 2 generations behind, but almost fraction of the cost in 2022. So we're going to talk about a couple things here: brief history, the hardware, the camera, the battery life, software performance, and simply things that it supports and it doesn't. And lastly, talk about what it's really worth it or not for you going into 2022. So the iPad Mini 4 here was released back in September of 2015. Now later this year, it's going to be making 7th year since this iPad has been around, and there's going to be a lot of things going for this iPad here. Again, first thing is that this iPad here is probably the lightest weight iPad you can get in the series itself. The minis were sort of like a bigger form of the Max edition of your iPhone 12, 13, even the 11 lineup here. So tablet size, again, it's really small here. You got that fingerprint for it in terms of the hardware here. You got these bottom speakers, and more surprisingly or interesting enough nowadays, that 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which you don't get on iPhones any longer here. So you don't really need AirPods for it, but you can simply also connect it to AirPods as well. That works equally as well here. Now let's talk about other things like the actual chipset on it. So the Mini 4 here does have a A8 chip with 2 gigs of RAM, upgraded from that 1 gig on the Mini 2 and the 3 series that we saw, which means that things are a little bit faster when it comes to loading things up, simply browsing around. You notice here much quicker when you do give it time here. You got all of the apps that are pretty much supported, and also gives you the latest version of iOS 15 compatibility with this iPad here. So that's great news for this iPad, and we'll talk a little bit more further down in this video for it. Now, the other thing we want to mention about in this cam is the camera here. So the Mini 4 here does have a camera to it, both front and back. The camera isn't quite as good as it should be. It does have that one single 12 megapixel camera on the back, but there is no flash. And then the front camera, which Apple did an upgrade from the previous model, it has that 1.2 megapixel camera here. So selfies aren't going to be the greatest if you're looking for selfie here. Now, the other point we want to mention is the price point of it and the storage size of it. So when it came out, the Mini 4 here, you only had couple different storage configuration. You had the 16 gig, which cost original price of $399, and then if you paid for the 64 gig, you paid an additional $100, which made it $499, and then 128 gig, which is the most you can get on this device, for $599. Why that really matters is because you can't really add an SD card to iPads in general. So if you didn't get a higher storage, you're limited to using what's locally available, or if you're using the iCloud storage, that's probably what you're looking to do if you had like a 16 gig, because once you start recording videos or taking photos or downloading apps, you'll find that it simply dries up that storage that you have available, and you're going to be running out of storage really quick. So those are going to be things to talk about. Now, we mentioned briefly that with this iPad, you can actually get the latest iOS 15 update to it, and this might be the last update that this iPad gets. We thought that it wasn't going to get iOS 15 last year, earlier in the year, but later on we found out that the Mini 4 supported iOS 15. Well, it does support iOS 15, but we found that on iOS 15 it works decent, but sometimes you might have issues here and there with performance. Again, that's because it is a 7-year-old device running on the latest version of iOS 15, which is meant for iPad 6th generation because of updated chipset on those devices here. Now, if you're really comparing the Mini 4, it's pretty much similar power to an iPad Air 2nd generation, and the Airs are now up to 4th generation that you can get, and there is a 5th generation of Air that came out as well with the Mini 6 here. So those are going to be where you're comparing this iPad to. And what kind of brings us to the point is, or what other things are supported on this device. Unfortunately, the Mini 4 doesn't support the Apple Pencil. So when it comes to things for like work and school, if you needed to take notes or simply use the pen to do things, you're simply not going to be able to use it. So in a way, it's sort of 50-50 if this iPad Mini 4 is worth it going into 2022 or not. Simply, our answer to it is the iPad Mini 4 worth it or not. It's going to solely depend on what you're really looking to do. Now, if you're looking to use it as a really heavy user in terms of multitasking, using this iPad as your go-to device, probably not. It's not going to replace your laptop by any means here. But if you're looking for a device to sort of enhance or support your other devices like your iPad or MacBook or your PCs, maybe this will be a good device for you as well. But when it comes to price point, right now, if you're looking at this device, you won't be able to buy it new. But if you buy it pre-owned from eBay or Amazon, you're going to pay around $150 to $170, around there, depending on the storage size you can get. So almost half the cost, if you will, or almost 1/3 the cost that you originally would have paid for this device. And that kind of brings us to the other point, is that what is this device really good for? Well, this device is good for maybe someone looking to just watch videos, maybe use it for social media or browsing around. But when it comes to things like graphic design, probably not recommended for it, or heavy graphic usage, you probably don't want to use it, or heavy gamer. If you're playing in 3D games, probably not going to be worth it for you. But if you're playing games that are 2D or simply lightweight on the graphic, it's going to be worth it for you. So play wise, this device is probably good for simply your everyday daily usage. As you can see, your apps crashed here, but simple stuff that you need to get done here, like maybe if you're doing online shopping, using it for some of your social media apps. But definitely it's a play tablet more than a work or school. Certainly you can probably use it for your video calls and things like that, even conference call if you needed to. And you can pretty much customize this device, since iOS 15 does allow you to do cool things with it, like add widgets and icons to it, so which is pretty neat in a lot of ways. But don't expect this iPad to really be your go-to device in 2022, but definitely a good device for play. And because it is much cheaper than getting a new one, in a way, we're going to say that iPad Mini 4 is worth it for a light user. So hopefully this video is helpful, and if this video is helpful, please make sure that like and subscribe button. And we want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on the Mini 4? If you use the Mini 4, have it, or thinking of buying it, make sure you guys leave a comment in the comment section sharing your experience. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.